John Morrison, number 24 of the class of 1984, was a north-south running back whose matinee idol good looks belied a toughness that was evident every time he carried the ball. Morrison played on Tex Flannery's last winning team, and he partnered with fullback Steve Crone in a throwback offense that featured the run, and which controlled the clock and kept the Explorers in every game. John Morrison ran mainly north and south, despite his 160-pound frame, but he had good foot speed to get outside on occasions. He was also featured in some back-in-the-day halfback passes from the back of the playbook that caught defenses by surprise. Morrison had a great runner's instinct of wriggling forward for an extra yard while being tackled, often picking up key first downs with his maneuvering while going down. John Morrison won honorable mention All-Catholic honors as a junior, but it was as a senior that he became the go-to back that led to a successful 6-4 season. So when you think about LaSalle football, remember John Morrison, class of 1984. Tim Foley, number 43 of the class of 1966, was a raw-boned 6'1", 185-pound rock on the Great LaSalle defenses of the 1964 and 1965 seasons. Foley was listed in the program as a tackle, but really played an inside linebacker position, stepping up and plugging holes on a defense that gave up only 85 points in 2 years of league contests. Tim Foley got to play in front of his older brother Jay on the 1964 team as a junior, and he stepped up to become a senior leader the following year. Though the Little Explorers suffered their first losing season under Tex Flannery in 1965, the defense still stood strong, and Foley had both the strength to bottle things up in the middle of the line, as well as the speed to chase down runners on the edge. Foley's intensity grew as the game progressed, focused exclusively on his opponent offense, maybe even unaware of his shirt tail sticking out. In that respect, Tim Foley was a classic LaSalle football player during an era of intense defense, playing with the pride of being a little explorer. So when you think of LaSalle football, remember Tim Foley, class of 1966. Tre McNeill, number 8 of the class of 2017, was as nasty and tough a defensive back as LaSalle has seen in many years. At a rugged 6 foot 1 inch and 190 pounds, McNeill would play right in the face of the wide receiver, daring them to make a move to get free. McNeill's aggressive play also bottled up sweeps around the end, as he blew up those plays while often making the tackle on his own. Tre McNeil was a fundamentally sound one-on-one defender, keeping one eye on the ball and often shielding the receiver from having any opportunity to even touch the incoming pass. When someone did try to make a catch, McNeil's big hits either jolted the ball loose or caused the receiver to suddenly come up with a case of alligator arms while reaching for the football. Tre McNeill played with a swagger and a style that was needed to be a good cornerback, and his 3 interceptions as a senior led the team. McNeill was awarded first-team All-Catholic and All-City honors in his senior year, but most of all, he had the respect of his coaches and his teammates with his toughness and his confidence. So when you think of LaSalle football, remember Tre McNeill, class of 2017. Gary Uzelac, number 11 of the class of 1976, was the quarterback for the 1975 squad that rose from the ashes of a winless campaign the season before. At 6'3" and 190 pounds, Uzelac was LaSalle's tallest signal caller to that point, and his angular presence contributed to his leadership skills and also allowed him to fall forward for that extra yard on crucial quarterback sneaks. Gary Uzelac had great athletic ability as well, keeping defenses honest with his bootleg options and sometimes just outright scrambling to create something out of nothing. His height allowed him to see above the on-rushing defense, and he connected with targets downfield for sizable gains. Uzelac had the poise and confidence to go along with his leadership and contributed to his competitiveness of the 1975 squad, whose meager 2 victories belied the return of the Little Explorers to a respected level in Catholic League's Northern Division. Gary Uzelac was an honorable mention in the coach's All-Catholic balloting, but he won first-team All-Catholic laurels from the Daily News. So when you think of LaSalle football, remember Gary Uzelac, class of 1976. Kevin Schmidt, number 45 of the class of 1991, wore Rudy's number, but he was anything but a Rudy for the Explorers. Maybe he was caught standing next to Keith Conlon once too often to be thought of as a Rudy, but Schmidt was a 2-year starter at linebacker for the great LaSalle teams of 1989 and 1990, and he served double duty as a reliable upback in his senior season. Schmidt did all the little things right, whether it was blocking or plugging holes on defense, or making tackles in the classical way. He was part of a dominant defensive team in both his junior and senior years, and at least 4 of his senior defensive teammates, Keith Conlon, Mark Houck, Craig Fitzgerald, and John Butler, along with Kevin Schmidt himself, went on to become coaches. As a running back, Schmidt was a solid blocker and a north-south rusher, gaining first downs in short yardage situations and providing a reliable option in Coach Joe Callistra's stable of excellent runners. On defense, Kevin Schmidt was a leader, sizing up opponent plays before the snap and usually finding the right hole to plug. Schmidt also covered well on passes out of the backfield and used his sense of anticipation to be in the right spot to make a tackle or break up a pass. Schmidt was awarded a deserving spot on the first-team coach's All-Catholic team. So when you think of LaSalle football, remember Kevin Schmidt, class of 1991.